Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I just finished this sketchbook here, and I'm going to do a flip through so you can see what I've been working on. So this book I was working in from December to May, and I just finished it on May 11th. So this sketchbook I used mostly for schoolwork, but also for some freelance work. These sketches here were done for a project I did with the Walrus, doing a cougar illustration, which was tons of fun. You can see the sketch here for the final illustration. And here's just a clipping from a magazine. I love to include whatever I feel like putting in my sketchbooks, especially my pencil sketchbooks. And sometimes if I do a sketch I don't like, I'll cover it up with a clipping from a magazine. Here's just some studies of some monkeys, and here a study of a Patagonian mara, which are very cool rodents. There's a mara that lives at Animal Wonders, Montana, and they have a YouTube channel, and you can watch their mara Chili Pepper doing his thing. Here I did some studies of gargoyles. Most of these are from Notre Dame. I knew I was going to be doing a medieval project in school, so I started just by doing basic research on gargoyles and customs and reading books and stuff like that. Here are some sketches I did at the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology. These are some Hadrosaur bones, so a Brachylophosaurus skeleton and some Prosaurolophus feet here, and I did these on toned paper with pencil crayon. Some more creature sketches. And here I really started that medieval story, and I was going to do a series of illustrations in class, so I started working on a boy character. His name is William, and I needed to find a balance between historical but also relatable. He was supposed to be sort of a nerdy character, and this sketch here ended up being kind of close to what I worked on for him for most of the term. Here is some sketches of fossil plants that I also used for a school project. And here's some more on that medieval project. So here's Will. This one ended up being sort of the iconic drawing of him that I based all my other ones on. And I also was working on a horse character to go along with him. Here's some more of the horse, and some sketches from the zoo. And this I took from a calendar that I had. And here are some thumbnails. A lot of these I did heavily referencing a film called Black Angel, and it's a really gorgeous film. You can watch it on YouTube, but I really used it to influence the style and mood of the medieval illustrations I made. I was also looking at a lot of Arthur Rackham, who's an amazing illustrator, especially if you need to draw creepy trees. Here's the final design of Imperium, the horse, and he's a heavy war horse, a mix of different breeds, and I used this to complete the turnaround of the horse that I did. And just some more medieval stuff here, working on a coat of arms for the city. And on this day I went to the zoo, so Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, gravy zebra, and a rough-legged hawk, snowy owl, caribou. The zoo in my city, the Calgary Zoo, has a large section for North American animals, and even though I live in North America and I could technically see them, the zoo makes it super easy, and I love to go sketching there. They also redid the lion enclosure, so you can actually get really close to the lions, with glass in between, of course, but I did this sketch from life. And if I'm doing stuff that's sort of anatomical or I'm doing lots of layers, I'll use tracing paper. So you can see sort of the different layers here. So I traced the horse and then used a different layer of tracing paper to draw all the tack on it. That way I'm not ruining sketches. I can just take the tracing paper off if it's not going very well. Here I did some color studies, and these are just printer paper with watercolor on them. They're loose and messy. And I thought the pose from the previous page wasn't working, so I did some studies from classical sculptures to help inform my anatomy, and then decided on a pose that was like a very simple, lazy contrapposto pose. So his shoulders and his hips are at different angles, and this worked out really well for my project. And just more sketches. This one here is, we had a warm-up in class to do illustrated type, and we had to use a cliche phrase, so no dogs were harmed. Just some more medieval thumbnails here. And I was also working on a dinosaur project in my last term of art school, so these were some of the first sketches that I banged out to get working on that. I was trying to figure out a nice pose to use for a large pen and ink anatomical drawing. I ended up going with this one because it had some motion to it without being too mammalian. Just some birds, more dinosaur ideas. This side is from a magazine, and this side is gouache on a hot press paper. It's the letter U with a unicorn in it, and that was another warm-up that our teacher had us do. He actually had us do a lot of warm-ups, and it was really fun, and I really appreciated just sort of being told to do something else for a little while. It's a good brain exercise while also being a bit of a brain break. So for the medieval project, I did some mythological creatures as well. So this was my take on a unicorn that was more plant-based. So it's got branches coming out where the horn would be, very emaciated, sort of like cordyceps mixed with a unicorn. And over here I was working on a cockatrice. Some more cockatrice ideas here. I actually took a creature design course with Tyrrell on schoolism.com, and I learned so much from that class. If you want to get into creature design, I definitely recommend checking out Tyrrell's class on Schoolism. Here was another project for the Walrus about beavers being reintroduced to Scotland, and it was really fun to paint in the end. So there's the final that I did. I did this in gouache, and then I just printed it out on my black and white printer and stuck it in here because I thought it would be nice to have the final piece included with my sketches. Here's some more zoo sketches. These ones are just done in pen. Meerkats and red river hogs. And just some cutouts and stickers and doodles here. More work on that cockatrice design. And I was also doing a design for a water spirit. So this is some of the sketches I did for Nimue. And this is the one that I ended up going with. I really like how she turned out. And here are just some poses for the cockatrice. Once I had him figured out, it was really fun to just doodle him in different poses and think about what this animal would be like. Here I was drawing some medieval serpents. And those are really fun because if you read up how they thought up these mythical creatures, sometimes you can tell that they're just real animals and they didn't have a name for them yet. So there's one back on this page here, the Hadrosaur, that's supposed to be long and fought crocodiles. And actually it would probably be something like an otter or a mongoose, which was long and fought crocodiles. Rather than a serpent, it was actually a mammal. Stuff like that is really fun to read about. Here's some dragons. And here's some sketches here for a project that I was doing as well. This one I'll have more to say about later. More medieval stuff. This is a green knight, and this was really fun to design. I sort of based him off of a Jedi mixed with the medieval green man sculptures and stuff like that. Working on some medieval type, and this is a loose sketch for a piece that I did for Light Gray Art Lab, which will be out in the fall. Another clipping, a sketch from a museum diorama. Here's some more little medieval beasties. I did a lot of sketching for this project, and it was just really fun to honestly kind of just do whatever. And base it on actual medieval research and film and stuff like that. So I did a Hydra, and I watched Jason and the Argonauts, and I was doing posing for my knight, and I was watching The Last Crusade. That's just a sketch from the film. Here's some more dinosaur stuff on this side, Hydra stuff on this side. Here's a sketch of the knight before he becomes sort of overtaken by the forest. And this was a man I saw on the bus, and he had a very interesting profile, so I held it in my mind until I could get to my sketchbook and just tried to sketch it down. And more magazine clippings. I just like how they look in the page. Just like color palette inspiration and pattern inspiration. Here I drew an avocet. We found some avocets at a pond nearby, and they're really cool birds. It was really fun to take photos of them. The nice thing about spring is all the birds come back, and you're kind of surprised by when they do. And so it's really nice to stumble upon them again. This is a D&D character of mine. This is a little creature that's a mix of a grouse and a weasel, which are both local wildlife to my area. And I had this idea of doing chimeras based on my local animals, and I intend to do some bigger paintings based on those. Here's my D&D character again after she leveled up, so she got all this extra fancy stuff. Animal sketches, some silly bird doodles, and I went to draw my friend's hedgehog, Tuffy, who is super cute, but he's a really bad model, like so bad. He just always wanted to dig under things and hide and go back to sleep, and we felt really bad for keeping him up, but you know, it was one day in his hedgehog life, and we did get some cute sketches out of it. And there's my D&D character again. And then these are just some cutouts from comic books that I recycled. I have a lot of comic books, and every once in a while I have to like purge my collection so that I can actually have room on my shelf for more. And this was the final sketch I did, which is totally wacky. But it's like a dinosaur standing upright, and he's got like a little hat on. This was done at a sketch night, and I just kind of let loose and did whatever I felt like, which ended up being this guy. So I named him Merlin. That's my book. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you liked that. I hope that this sketchbook was still interesting, even though it's mostly like pencil and not so much color. I hope you just liked watching. I hope you're having a nice, relaxing day. And please like and subscribe if you like what you see. And I'll see you next time. Bye!